Hey everybody, this is Omar, the show Do We Really Know Them? We're excited today. We have a special guest. You've seen him on the Don Cohen show, and he's a regular. We're going to talk to him about that. You're going to find out who it is when we play the intro. We'll see you in about a minute. Show number 25.
KARL Daking.
All right, let's go ahead and bring our special guest all the way from Colorado. I think he's in Denver. We'll find out. Good morning, sir. How are you? Where are you joining us from?
It's the Denver metro area in Colorado. So I'm in the southeast part of the metropolitan area.
Oh, cool. And how are you this morning?
I am doing good. A little fatigued from a late night charity fundraiser that was continuing into early chores this morning,
Oh,
but happy to be here and energized to see if I can answer all your questions correctly.
okay. We're excited to have you here. This is episode 25. Let me go ahead and put in the questions because do we really know them or do we really know Carl this time? Number 25. Hey, okay. Let me have some applause here. Let me go ahead and play the applause. And there we go. I love the StreamYard. They have it so unique here. Okay. Question one. Okay. On your profile, it says you're a professional entrepreneur. What does it mean? What does that actually mean?
Yeah, so an entrepreneur is somebody who takes a chance to bring a new product or service to market. And some people do it one time and quit. Some people try to do it one time and fail. Um, as a professional entrepreneur, I've done it many times. You've heard the term serial entrepreneur, who is a person who goes from one project to the next. I kind of refer to myself as a parallel entrepreneur because I'm involved in about a dozen projects at any one time. And being professional about it means that you not only engage in the business, but you study how to uh, be the best you can be in any business that's out there. So, constantly gathering, studying, assessing information, trying new things so that anytime I step into a new project, I have the highest chance of success.
Perfect. I like it. Beautiful. All right. I think you passed that question. Let's move on to the next one. okay. Okay. What comes to your mind when you think of the word money? Now, you are the money guy. You have the background of motivated money, and you we've had many talks before. So, what does money mean to you, in a sense?
Money is, in many ways, a symbol representing power and control over wealth to some degree. A lot of people get fixated on the term money as it's the goal or the outcome that they're seeking, but money, better looked at, is a consequence of success. So if you bring a product or service to market and your customers are happy and they pay you a price, then you'll get money for that. And hopefully the price is greater than your expense, which creates a profit. and that lends itself to building wealth, both at the individual business level and also at the community level. So I see it as kind of a symbol that says, yeah, you crossed the goal, you did a good job.
Awesome. I like that. So, when did you come up with this idea? I like your background there, motivated money. What's the background behind that? As to go to a follow-up question on that, what's the story behind that screen behind you there? I love it.
Yeah, so I've been involved in startup businesses my entire life, and a 45-year career after getting out of school. And invariably, I was involved with raising money for new ventures, startups, particularly a lot of high tech companies. And I had to figure out how to raise funding for these particular projects. And a lot of the information out there says, well, you've got to get rich, you got to make the person richer who's the investor, so forth. But I've found that a lot of the things that drive the investment decision are elements that are outside of return on investment, which have to do with what gets a person up in the morning, what do they care about, what do they prefer. This is their motivation, their own self-interest in the outcome. And after working on this for years, decades, I finally realized that we needed to rethink the entire fundraising process and start off with who is the investor, what do they care about, what motivates them to invest or not invest. And if I can figure out who that is and who is the most motivated, then we craft an entire fundraising campaign around that motivation. We make the offer fit the investor instead of us trying to make the investor fit us.
Perfect. Beautiful. I love that. Good. Excellent, John Carl. Let's go on to the next question. All right. Okay. Here's an odd one. What does Carl like to do on a cold winter January night? January's coming up. What would you do? Would you watch a movie? Would you have some popcorn? I'm trying to just go on a little scan there.
Yeah, no. This is a good question because I will have to say I'm more of a summer fan than a winter fan. And on a winter night, there's less to do because the sun is down, and here in Colorado, it can get quite cold in a hurry.
Yeah.
So I'm probably indoors. I might be watching a movie. I might be reading a book, or more commonly, I'm working on a project.
By curiosity, how cold is it right now this morning? Is it in the 40s or the 50s?
It's a beautiful day today. It's going to be 88 a high
Oh,
here in Denver. I think it was a 56 low last night. We're into a very uncommonly warm
oh.
beginning of fall, and I'm very okay with that.
And I think also in Phoenix, it's kind of warm too, which is always warm, but usually by another week or two, it's going to cool down a bit, 108, 109. And so, but I mean, not too bad. I've been to Colorado before. It was, I think, in the May time, way maybe 20 years ago. But yeah, definitely. So when does the snow start there? The snow
Well,
season?
I remember seeing 2 foot of snow on my yard in mid-September.
Oh,
So
wow.
Um, it can, if you get a cold snap the right time with the right moisture mixture coming up from the Gulf, you can get a snowstorm that can be pretty heavy pretty early. And usually it automatically rebounds into a warm fall day for a couple of weeks, and then you get another blast, and then slowly but surely you work your way into winter.
Oh, excellent. Would you say the elevation is like Flagstaff or a little bit lower than Flagstaff, Arizona? You've heard of it, right? Or Flagstaff? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think Flagstaff is actually higher than Denver. I think it's around 5,800 square feet, while we're in Denver is around 5,200.
Yeah, isn't it called the Mile High City? Mile High City, right?
Yeah, that's why they call it Mile High, 5,280
Yeah.
feet. If you go to Rocky
Yeah.
Stadium, you can see all the seats from top to bottom, and there's one row that's purple all the way around the stadium, which is measured exactly to 1 mile high.
Ah, yeah, exactly. That's awesome. And so Flagstaff, I think, is 7,000 feet, something like that. So it's in between there. Awesome.
Is it?
All
Yeah,
right. We have,
that's
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You were
No,
saying?
I was gonna say that's a lot higher. It's 7,000 square feet, your mountain height, and you have a different climate at 7,000 feet than you do at 5280.
Awesome. All right, our guests are arriving. Oh, Amy Powers, a good friend of mine who's actually in the Phoenix area. I will let you keep your snow over the Phoenix summer heights. Highs. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's part of the reason why a lot of us live in the Phoenix area, right? Because we don't like snow. But it's nice to see, but not stick around. I'm assuming the snow lasts there from October to May, June, right? In your area, or earlier, or maybe April.
It actually can run from September to June, but the snowstorms when they happen here are almost immediately followed by 1 or 2 warm days. I remember one day this spring, I had 4 inches of snow on my lawn in the morning, and I was mowing that same lawn in the afternoon.
Yeah. See, I also lived in Arkansas, and so in the mornings it would be cold. By afternoon, it would be hot. So a lot of people would get sick, and they would get a fever. And I remember one incident: we were traveling. All of us started, eating food, and it was coming out. It wasn't. It was not pretty because of the weather change, and so a lot of viruses went. But in Phoenix, it's a lot drier. I love it here better. So okay, if you're ready, I'm gonna go to the next question. So shall we move on from the sixth grade to the high school level? Let's go on. Okay. All right, here we go. Can you recall what is your first job? Your first job you paid job or unpaid job that you ever had? What would you say?
I grew up on a farm, which was a farming enterprise, and the family also owned a Chevrolet dealership and a farm equipment dealership. From the moment I could walk, I was probably working on something,
Uh,
which could be anywhere from running chores, milking the cows, feeding cattle, and then that graduated all the way up through high school into running hay crews, harvesting crops, repairing vehicles, you name it. We had a quite diverse range of things that we got to do even before I turned 18.
that's awesome. I love that. So how did that give you any experience in life doing that? You said at what age you were doing that? By 5 or 6, you were doing that?
At least,
Oh
at
wow.
least by five or
So
six.
that's kind of, but people don't have that experience now these days. Maybe they did when you were growing up, but how did that? That's beautiful. How did that make you be the person you are, basically?
Well, there's a lot of lessons to be learned in that environment. You understood when a job was finished,
Yeah.
meaning that project orientation, you start and you finish. Certain things had a very defined outcome. So if you cut hay and baled it and put it in the barn, then you were done with that particular harvest. If you planted a row crop such as corn or wheat, harvesting it, hauling it to the grain elevator gave you an outcome. You also got into seasonality, which is some things happen at some times and other things happen at other times. And you
Yep.
had to plan for this to get through it. And you kind of also understood opportunities. So when the sun was shining, that's when you cut the hay. And you had to move at the time that the opportunity presented itself. It wasn't something that you says, I'll just do that on Tuesday because Tuesday may not work for you.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. So that's brilliant because like you said, you have to cut, let's say, a certain plant, or you'll do that job and it's done. Like right now, what we would do it a little bit of the job, go back to our phones, check who texts us, and then maybe go back to that job. There wasn't much distractions as there are now, right? It's like everybody. It's unfortunate here. Okay, let's move on to the next one. That's interesting. There, awesome. And so that wasn't a job that was paid, right? Because you were helping them. And so, what was your official first paid job? And what age
Well,
were
yeah. Basically, in partnership with the family business, I started a custom hay crew during high school. This was a job where, for the family and for neighbors in the region, we would go out, pick up the hay bales that they baled and haul them and put them in their barns or storage facilities for them. And we charged a fee for that. and I had a couple of friends of mine who worked underneath me as subcontractors. And on a good day in Kansas, we could put 1,000 bales from the field into a barn.
Oh, okay. Nice. That's awesome. All right, perfect. All right, let's go on to the next one. That's interesting how your family had that business. So it was your dad basically who owned it.
It was my dad and my grandfather who operated the business, and then members of the family would play support roles from bookkeeping to other things. And everybody in the family had several jobs to do at any given time based upon the time of the year.
Got it. Oh, perfect. And I think so. Have you lived there all your entire life?
I was born in Kansas, actually born on the farm. That's a story in its own right. And
So,
I
Carl, before you get there, have you did you see Dorothy when you were there? Dorothy from Wizard of Oz.
Actually, there is a great Wizard of Oz museum
Oh
in
wow!
Kansas. If you ever get a chance to see it, it's about 10 miles north of I-70.
Oh wow!
And the curator went out and got all the films of all the movies. He
Oh
did
wow!
backgrounds. He's got costumes from the actual movies. It's a really terrific museum
Oh wow!
if you ever want to go deep on the Wizard of Oz. But
Oh,
seeing Dorothy, I saw a lot of women who could have been Dorothy or acted like Dorothy. And so the mindset of living on the farm is something that's not limited to Kansas. It crosses most of the Midwest.
amazing. I like that. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check out that museum. And that's awesome. Yeah, we always associate Kansas with Wizard of Oz, right? And Dorothy. And because a lot of women are probably named Dorothy, but they're not the actual Dorothy. And then I do remember they made a second movie of that later on, and it wasn't the same. That movie was in the 40s, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, it was one of the first color movies ever
Yeah.
made. I think it was 48 or 49 when it was produced. They've made a lot of movies since, which are takeoffs, and I think
Yeah.
there's even yet another generation that's just been released. You
Yeah.
have The Wiz
Yeah.
and other things which are either prequels or sequels or just different interpretations of the original book.
Absolutely. I mean, there was one they made. Disney made a movie called Oz. This was actually like either a prerequisite or prequel or a one after or sequel. I can't remember. Basically, the
I think it
wizard,
was
how he
yeah,
became the wizard. I think that's what it was called, Oz, and I enjoyed that one. It was kind of fun, and how he actually became the wizard himself, and he was with the
right.
top hat. So that was amazing. I just want to read Amy's comment. Mine was McDonald's at age 16. That's where she started working. I worked there for 2.5 years. Typical. That's awesome. Thank you, Amy. Amy's a good friend who's in the Phoenix area, and hopefully, maybe we'll meet one day. Very good person. Okay. All right. Let's go on to the next question here. All right. Are you ready, Carl? You want to see the next question? I think this is question 6. Okay. Favorite vacation spot? We know that you were in Kansas. We know you're in Colorado now. But where is your favorite vacation spot?
Uh, That's a really good question. I mean, Colorado, quite frankly, offers virtually anything that anybody wants to do. Even with the large lakes,
Uh-huh.
you can get some pretty large beaches, and you have water sports and other things you can engage in. So we can typically do anything you could ever want to do in Colorado. But I do like the beach. And in the last few years, I've been doing some programs with the University of Denver in the country of Belize, and
Ah,
I find that is a fun place to go while also engaged in helping teach students about finance and international transactions.
amazing, amazing. Wow. So how about I also reverse it? That would be a place you would like to go to visit. But have you ever been out of the country?
Yes, I don't travel as much internationally as was my earlier aspirations or goals, but I've done trade missions into Poland. I have worked with some international licensing transactions into Liechtenstein and Switzerland.
Wow.
and I helped attend a conference in Barcelona. I have some limited travel out there. I would like to do a lot more.
Yeah.
Still hoping to check a number of things off my bucket list.
That's great. Yeah, we're always young enough to go and travel and do things here, so it's always great. Yeah, it's always going to do that. So maybe Belize, maybe you can put that on your bucket list too, right?
Well, no, I've been to Belize 4 times
Oh, four
now
times.
with different educational programs,
Ah,
and I'm now have a annual program at the University of Denver where we take graduate and undergraduate students down for a week and show them a comparison between doing business in the U.S. and doing business in a foreign country.
oh, that's amazing. I love that. That's awesome. All right, let's move on here. It's amazing how I was thinking this question would just be like, oh, I'd like to go to Hawaii, but your mind was thinking about the aspect of it, the business and stuff. Yeah, so I love that. I love the way you brought your answer to that question. Okay, what's the way to raise capital? This is a good question up your alley there, and so I thought this would be something interesting.
Well, the essentially raising capital is an activity that's an extension of your business plan. So after you've figured out how your business is going to run, or your community or charitable project, whatever it happens to be, you have to kind of figure out what you need. You have to figure out who has the resources you need. And then you have to figure out why they would ever give you any money at all. That's the motivation part of that.
Yeah.
I go through a 7, 8, 10 step process, depends on how you look at it, where we first determine the capital requirements, then we determine who cares about what you're doing, and we identify those who care the most, who are the most motivated as investor candidates. We then craft the offer to pair up or match the person who cares the most, and then we create promotional materials to talk to them, contact them, and get them on board to write a check or do something else that provides resources needed for whatever we're doing. And so in some ways, it's just basic marketing 101. You're not going to sell a product to someone who's never going to buy it. You're not going to spend all your time trying to get someone to buy something that they're never going to buy. You want to get the low hanging fruit. You want to figure out who that is. You want to make sure it's going to make them happy enough that maybe they'll come back and buy again. So it's basic marketing premises. But for some reason in the capital industry, we've gotten into what I call the Silicon Valley mindset of, rich need to get richer, greed is good, return on investment is the only metric for evaluating the outcome of an investment. And quite frankly, it doesn't work that way. But that's what the media does. That's what the TV shows talk about, and so everybody kind of gets their head screwed on backwards when they should just be applying primary marketing principles.
I like that. Yeah, exactly. Hollywood always makes it a little bit higher than that, but I love the idea. So the main thing is interest, right? The person who's gonna raise capital for you has to be interested in your product or whatever you're putting out there, and marketing or advertising it would be always the best way. But people need to need that product and they want it. That's the number one thing you would say, right?
Yeah, the optimal investor is somebody who needs you in order to fulfill their mission, achieve their goals. So you end up being like the missing ingredient in a recipe for their success. And if you are that missing ingredient, then you're not selling them, they're buying. And it changes the entire psychology of the engagement with that candidate because they're looking for you. They want you, they need you, and then it's just a matter of working at the terms of the deal, as opposed to having to go out and stand on a soapbox and bang a drum and try to attract attention to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I want to say hello to Nicholas. He's all the way, I believe, in Ghana or in Africa somewhere. So thank you for joining us. He's a new connection and awesome guy. Okay, let's go on to the next question, Carl. Okay, this is a question I ask for everybody. Okay, if I would invent an item to help mankind, what would it be? what would Carl invent? Something that would have mankind. I'm gonna assume something with money. You're gonna somewhere in the sentence there. So what do you think?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. I've seen it asked of other people, and probably early in my life, I would have been looking for a cure to a particular disease because I do a lot of volunteer work, a lot of fundraising for cancer organizations
Hmm.
because it impacts so many people and it causes so much harm. But if I were to create one thing today, it probably would be a tool, might be AI supported, to help people solve problems. Because when a problem presents itself, all too often you kind of hit a wall and you go, I can't figure this one out. I can't work around it. And if I can't work around it, I'm kind of stuck. And so the better ability skill of someone to solve a problem or a tool that would help them solve problems, that would be a cool thing because it would mean we get to move on and get another problem to work on.
I like that. Yeah, I know when we talked before, you were into the AI and all of that, which is amazing. And so I want you now to talk to me about Carl, who Carl is and what Carl does, and then what your goals are for the next few years in terms of AI and also money.
Yeah, so I think
And
that
by the way,
everyone
Carl,
needs,
sorry. By the way, this is the last question here. So elaborate as long as you need. Take the space here, okay?
sure. Now, through my career, having been an entrepreneur and working with entrepreneurs, you get to see a lot of people, a lot of different characters, a lot of projects and opportunities. And it's very difficult sometimes to distinguish between the potential of an idea and its realistic possibility. And so over this period of time, I've tried to figure out just what's my contribution to all of this, and I've kind of framed it this way that I believe that innovation is the way to make the world a better place, and entrepreneurs are the best people to take innovation and move it to market so the world can be a better place. And those entrepreneurs who don't have enough funding, maybe I can help them get the funding they need so they can do their work and make the world a better place. Whereas I consider myself a professional entrepreneur, I'm the ultimate student, faculty member, instructor, mentor, you name it, on funding. I truly try to understand all the time, every way possible, to move resources from one place to another where they can do more good and hopefully contribute to the greater good, so that there's something there. So I spend a lot of time working almost all the time, it seems like, on a different project or experimenting with a different way of communicating or building a community or some fundamental activity that helps a person tell their story at the right time in the right place to raise funding. When I'm not doing that, I occasionally will have some, I'll call it hobbies, which I don't engage in heavily enough to be strong. But I'm the gardener for our property where our house is located. So I probably could name you, a couple dozen varieties of plants, trees, flowers, that I'm constantly trying to start or get started on the property. Um, I had a lot of fun earlier this year. I worked with some friends and hired a guide, and we went out gem hunting in the mountains of Colorado and brought back some smoky quartz
so
gems that we found that were just beautiful. So
that's good.
different things like that
Nice.
intrigue me, but I don't spend as much time doing hobbies as much as probably I should.
That's wonderful. But Carl, I just want to say your video disappeared. I can't see you anymore.
Sorry, well, I thought that was you that did that.
Oh no, it was yeah, it was on your end there. That's weird.
Let's
Uh
see if there
there
we
you
go.
go.
I'm
Okay.
back again.
Now you're back. There is Carl went into cyberspace for a little bit, and he's back now.
I thought you were doing that for dramatic effect. So
Yeah, I don't have that option, but that would be interesting to do. Oh, I'll do that for Halloween, the Halloween episode that
okay.
we'll do. If it's a Sunday, we'll do something like that. What day is Halloween? Let me just see real. Oh, it's actually a Thursday. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll do a Halloween special to make it fun. We'll see. So I like that you're always working, you're always thinking about ideas to improve, and you're not really having time for yourself. Really, it's more about how to help others and how to help people. Would you say so, Carl?
Yeah, yeah. No, it was like at the charity event last night. I looked at all the different ways I might support the charity, and one of the items in the silent auction was a puppet, and nobody was bidding on it. I thought that charity actually might benefit from having the puppet, so I bought it, and I intend to donate it back to the charity. In fact, it's
Oh.
sitting here behind me.
Oh. I love it. Does it have a name?
So,
I love that. I don't think we've ever had a puppet on the show. I love this. That's
yeah.
great. That's
So,
great.
yeah, this is one of these things where um,
That's beautiful. Yeah, I've always
I
wanted
was,
to play with a puppet and see how it works. How they do it. I've played with one and used one, but it's pretty fascinating how the mouth moves and all that. It's interesting talent. But I cannot
right,
pronounce the name. It starts with a V.
ventriloquist.
Ventriloquist. Yes, that's it.
Yeah, I I may have to learn a new skill in order to use the puppet correctly, but yeah, I met a lady who actually makes the puppets, who's a small business here in Colorado.
Oh,
And my mind being the way it works, I immediately go, wow, that's cool. And oh, they could use puppets as part of the programming for this children's camp, which is a charity that my wife operates. And so we had a good conversation, and initially nothing happened. But the lady was so impressed with this camp that she donated this puppet
wow.
for the silent auction last night.
Amazing.
And I kept hoping somebody would buy it, and the money would go to the charity. But when no one did, I decided I would buy it and donate it back to the charity.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. That's
So
that's
you may be seeing a lot of interesting snippets on LinkedIn and so forth going forward, where I decide that my guest on my LinkedIn live shows is going to be a puppet and
oh.
instead of somebody live.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Actually, that gave me an idea. When I do my game show at the Zoom party, I might have a puppeteer or have something like that. Especially when the kids who participate, they're gonna have a
Yeah.
blast with that. I gotta learn a skill like that, like you said, or hire somebody who would be able to do it for a cheap price. Maybe Carl. Carl might be my next puppeteer. That would be great. So the next thing I want you to do is buy all the Muppets and then try to learn that. Like we need Kermit and then Miss Piggy and then Fonzie. If you can get that, you're hired.
Actually, a long time ago, 3 decades plus, um, I decided that my voice, one of the few voices I could imitate, was one of the Muppet characters, which was Gonzo. And so I made a full size head for a Halloween party out of paper mache. It looked great. It was very heavy and clumsy. And then I tried to do my best to imitate Gonzo on the at the party. So
That
had a
that's
really good time with that.
that's great. We're almost ending. Can you give us a Gonzo real quick? With that, are you able to do it now? I gotta do it. I gotta have you do it. No.
No,
Okay.
no, it gets up into the shrill range, and sometimes I can make it, and sometimes I can't.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Carl, for being on this program. Do really know them. We'll have another guest in 2 weeks from now. Appreciate you. Your last closing remarks, sir.
Just it's fun to be on a show like this. Every person needs to be who they are, and to kind of figure out who that is, and then the best you can describe it to other people, like a pitch for an investment. It helps other people help you be yourself, and to be all you can be. And so I appreciate this opportunity to share, a little bit of me and tell people about some of the things I'm working on and interested in.
That's great. Yeah, we always actually have to applaud Don Cohen because he was the man who actually introduced us and also to me to doing the show. I've always wanted to do shows like this. And I also, and he knows this. So in November, he's one of the top 10 inspirational people that motivated me to do this. So he's going to be doing a talk, and I'm going to actually write a write up, a book, and include the 10 people in there. And so, very wonderful to have him as a supporter and all this. And hopefully, one day I'll go to Colorado and meet all you folks there. It'll be great. And
Yeah,
with
come
that,
on down.
absolutely. Yeah, I would love to. I'll be heading to California here shortly in a couple of hours, and then from there going other places, meeting all my LinkedIn buddies that I met online. Wonderful people here. People always say, "Why LinkedIn?" LinkedIn, the people are kinder. They're more business oriented, and they actually care compared to other places where it's more silly. It's more not. They're not mature in Facebook or Instagram. So I just something about this. There's a family of community where you get together and you meet these people and you become like family. You're growing your community. Wonderful people like Carl and Don and Harvey and Kelly that become lifelong friends. And once they know you and they know other people like Carl, it's just going to be a wonderful community. That's what we need. We just got to spread love and kindness, and it'll spread to everywhere like that. So appreciate you again. There's more comments coming in as we're ending here. Did I read this one? Yes, I think I did. You are much more than you job or what you do. Yeah, exactly. And then I don't know who this is. LinkedIn user could be Carrie, could be Melissa, Mr. Disney, King, Mother Nature. We'll find out here in a little bit. So, Carl, thank you again for being on the program. We will be back in 2 weeks with a new person. So, if you notice, guest one of season 3 was a woman, guest 2 was a man, guest 3 is going to be definitely a woman. So, we will find out who that is in a couple of days or weeks here when it comes in. So, we'll be back end of the month for episode 3 of season 3, episode 26 of the entire season. Please do watch, do really know. And also, Carl, you do a show as well, right? Don't you do a show? Uh,
I actually do two shows. I have one called Successful Funding on 8 o'clock on Tuesdays,
uh
Denver time. And
okay,
then we've just started a new one on community revitalization for underserved communities on Thursdays at 8 o'clock Denver time.
got it. Put the link. So the link is on your channel, right? So they can search on LinkedIn, Carl. Uh, I always mispronounce the last name wrong. Dakin, Dakin,
It's Dakin.
Dakin.
Yeah, you got it.
Is that German or what is that?
It's Scotch. If you it was Americanized. If you think of Deaghin with a hard
Uh-huh.
G, uh,
Okay.
it's Dakin.
Got it. Awesome. All right, perfect. Go ahead and catch Carl on his profile, and it's he does a lot of good things there. As you see, you can go and watch the program again. And thank you guys for joining us. I think oh, I think he froze, or was it me here? Okay, are you back, Carl? Kind of.
I'm fine.
Okay, I think I can see you, but you're kind of frozen. Oh, we had the same issue with me last week, so. Uh, I think that okay. And let me go ahead and end the stream. Carl, if you're there, thank you guys for joining us for this program. See you again soon for episode 26, God willing. And with that, may you always be in peace. Take care, guys.